Okay, you made it home. Now it's all about chilling out and getting to know your baby and really starting this transition into your new normal, okay? We're going to talk about pets in safety, although while we're right here at the threshold of getting home and then literally walking into your front door, if you do have a dog, and we're going to talk about dogs and cats a little bit more in safety. However, if you do have a dog, one really great way to introduce your dog to your new baby, is when you introduce them, your baby's already in your house, in your apartment, wherever you live, okay? So how can that look? Let's say you guys pull in, all right? It would be great if one of you can go in, right? Maybe you go in, get the dog or dogs, okay? Bring them out, and then your woman, if she's, able to, clearly if she's not able to walk at this point, it's a different scenario. If she can walk, she can go and bring the baby in the house, okay? And then at that point when she's in, you can then take a blanket, let the dog smell the kid, and then bring the dogs in to meet the baby while they're already in the house. Our dogs are pack animals, and there's something about them already being in there, so it's not like they're invading their territory, they're already in. There's something to be said for that scenario, okay? Okay, so whether you have a dog or you don't have a dog, at this point, you bring your baby home, you go inside, and now what? Okay, what do? Really hang out, okay? Your baby is going to be, as we talked about, pretty much on a schedule. It's going to be looking for food like every hour and a half-ish, 2 hours, okay? Eat, activity, sleep. So you guys are just really settling in. You, my friend, you can, when you walk in the door, depending on what time it is, take a baked ziti out of the freezer, throw it in the oven, and then you guys will have dinner at dinner time. Okay, pretty nice, all right? And if you have friends and family, different people over, whatever your scenario is. Look, even in planning for that, you do want to talk about, who's going to be there? What's going on? Do you have family? All of that stuff really from the pre-birth situation now is coming into play. All right, who's there? One person to talk about is a postpartum doula, okay? And depending, again, if you have a lot of support, you may not need to consider a postpartum doula. If you don't have anybody in town, even if you do, and, a postpartum doula, clearly, I'm a huge fan of doulas, okay? Birthing doulas, postpartum doulas, and they're different, okay? They're trained differently. Now, usually a postpartum doula has some training here in birth. However, they more love the after, and caring for you, the dad and the mom, and helping you guys facilitate. They understand a lot about breastfeeding and caring for the infant, and they're there to support you guys at home. They're also helping with laundry and cleaning up dishes, doing stuff to help promote you and the mama taking care, focusing on the baby. Doulas are amazing, amazing folks. I highly recommend it if you have the means, especially if there's not a lot of support and you guys are just kind of on your own. Having some support is so helpful. It really is. Even the most empowered, people, a little support, it's a big deal. Okay, so whether you do or don't, if it's just you guys, you have people coming over, you get home, all right? You can then also throw some food in the oven, and you will soon have some food to feed your woman and you, so you can kind of navigate that first night home from the hospital, birthing center, or unless you just gave birth at home and then you're already chill and you're at home, okay? And you're just managing your infant, which you know how to do. All right. So I wanted to talk to you here now then, since we're kind of at home, just chilling out, some general health guidelines that can help you to feel a little more empowered, a little more grounded, right? Because unless you went to doctor school, the health and wellness of your new infant is usually one of the areas where we are most, we have anxiety, we got this new being, what's normal, what's not normal, I don't know, who knows? Okay, you are about to know. Very simple. Keep it simple. If they delivered you a standard issue, relatively normal, healthy, human being baby, you want to use this little checklist. It's what I still use to this day to see, is there an issue with my kid, me, really anybody. I like having a little checklist, right? Just like changing, feeding, soothing, okay? It just makes sense to me. So with health and wellness, general health and wellness, here's your little checklist. Number 1, breathing, okay? How's the breathing? Normal, healthy breathing should be unlabored, right? Meaning easy breathing. Their belly breathing, in and out, steady breathing. Are they breathing? Okay? Number 2, energy, right? So when they're awake, do they have energy? Or are they lethargic and, no energy? Normal, healthy, standard issue, babies, people, there's energy when we're awake, okay? Especially a baby. When they're awake, and then they get tired, okay? In the very beginning, the waking hours are shorter, right? And their energy, they have energy, and then they get very tired, right? Their systems are turning on. Again, they're acclimating to this new world, right? They're still, it's just about these survival needs. It's very rudimentary, very basic survival, needs. No wants at all, just need. They're as an organism, they're just want to survive, right? They just want to survive. Basic needs. So number 1, breathing. How's the breathing? Is it steady breathing? Do they look like they're struggling breathing? Number 2, energy. How's the energy? Relatively normal, okay, when they're awake? All right, energy levels. Number 3, okay, eating. Are they looking for food? Are they hungry when they wake up, right? Eating, drinking. Are they looking for food and nutrients? These are basic survival things. As an infant, and then also as we all get older, right? Basic human being survival needs. All right. Breathing, energy, food, drink. All right. And then peeing and pooping. These are the basics, right? The basic stuff. Keep it simple, right? If you're questioning, is the kid normal? Are they sick? Are they healthy? What's the story? If you're concerned, go down your little checklist. How's the breathing? Okay. Most new parents end up in the emergency room for one of 2 reasons. The first one is a concern about their breathing. Okay, shallow breathing, troubled breathing, any kind of breathing where you perceive there's an issue. Like a lot of new parents end up in the hospital, the ER, for perceived breathing issues. And the other, number 1 and 2, is an actual fall, an accident, something like that. Okay? Those are pretty high odds of why you end up in the ER. All right? We're going to talk about the ER a little bit more here in a few minutes. Okay? So again, with breathing, it should be easy, unlabored, easy, smooth breathing, belly breathing. That's normal, healthy breathing. All right? One indicator that they're laboring to breathe is that you'll see in between the ribs, you, me, everyone, human beings, okay? There's a lot of little muscles, right? In places you may not recognize that there's muscles. In between the ribs, there are these little muscles. And if the lungs are having a hard time breathing, the body calls in these muscles and they'll be pulsating on the side. So if you perceive that your kid is shallow breathing, look to see at the ribs. If their ribs are kind of like in between, like the muscles are really pulsing and working, yeah, they're having trouble breathing, okay? Now look, with the ER, my guidance is if you ever perceive there is a reason that you need to go to the ER, always err on the side of caution. Always, okay? You're going to get to the point where, your kid falls down and you're like, oh, are they bleeding? Are they not bleeding? Do we need to go to the ER? Maybe yes, maybe we give it a little time. Until you've been to the ER, right? And your new parent jitters, the real way to cut our teeth as parents is unfortunately, going through these experiences, If you're considering, you think that you could need to go to the ER and you're feeling a little nervous, your woman's nervous, go, okay? After a couple of times, you'll recognize, if you can avoid going, you're going to want to avoid going. But you don't really get to that point until you've been there a few times. All right? We've had several ER visits. All right? We've had stitches. We've had a broken arm. Our oldest daughter, Eliana, our first real trip to the ER, she must have been 5-ish, okay? Came home from preschool. And she was laying on the couch like a lump, right? Like at this, she was energy. Her energy was, there was no energy. And her breathing was labored. We bring her into the ER, and indeed, she was having some kind of allergic situation. And they told us she was having what was called reactive airway syndrome. So not quite asthma, but reactive airway syndrome, whatever caused her lungs to constrict. And yeah, that could have been it. If we didn't bring her in, all right? Her oxygen was single digits, all right? So in that circumstance, they introduced what a lot of new parents also, you may be introduced to at some point. It's called a nebulizer. It's this little air pump. And you turn it on, and there's a mask that goes over their face, and they put in this little albuterol medicine that opens up the lungs. We had to stay overnight in the hospital. She was getting those treatments all night. And look, she's now, a teenager and, her lungs are strong and all of that. And again, we had that kind of experience, all right? Stitches, our third daughter, she's walking in the hallway in school and someone tripped. She went down. The kids went back behind her. Chin, very popular area. I have stitches in the chin. She has stitches in the chin. Very popular place to get stitches, right? So these kind of things are all relatively within normal limits of kid stuff. And, you go a couple of times and then you start, you feel a little more experienced as a parent. And the only time that happens is you actually go through it. All right. So if you ever, for an instant, think you should go, always err on the side of caution. You'll grow and your confidence will grow as you go through those things. I wish I could promise you'd never end up in the ER. I don't think that's a realistic thing. All right. And again, you will start developing your confidence. Okay, and a good way even just for you to identify what's normal, right? So you can know what's not normal is these normal behaviors of a normal human being, little person. Starting with breathing, right? Unlabored, easy breathing. That's at the top of your checklist. If they're breathing normally, okay, that's a really good sign that everything's okay, right? Okay. So you have your little checklist on what is normal. So you could then identify what's not normal. All right. I want to talk to you now about a couple of things that can also help you to be a little more chill, and that most of the time, a lot of parents recognize these next couple of things as a problem. And I want to share with you a different perspective that might help kind of, turn something that was once perceived as a problem into not such a problem. okay? And the first one is a fever, all right? When a baby, when a kid, when a toddler, any age person, they have a fever, okay? Especially your little infant, all right? Their temperature goes up. A lot of parents, the first thing they think is there's something wrong with the kid. There's something wrong, they're sick, okay? Let's look at it from a different perspective, all right? You and your woman live in your place, and there are, like it or not, depending on your position on germs and everything being sterilized and all of it, you have germs and bacteria in your home, in your environment, right? And your baby's immune system, all of your baby's systems are turning on and starting to function and coming online, all right? And they haven't been exposed to these things in your environment. And when they do become exposed to those things in your environment, a lot of times, right, it's normal for them to spike a fever. Because when your body, my body, your baby's body, when they sense, new bacteria, new things in the environment, their body starts producing white blood cells. It turns up the temperature to then destroy the bad stuff. I mean, it's figuring things out and the temperature goes up. And that is very likely to happen. Now, please, 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 I am not saying your kid spikes 105 fever and it's 6 days later and you're like, well, it's just going to fit. No, that's not what I'm saying. All right. What I'm saying is if their temperature goes up, even up to like 101-ish, 102 in an infant is, within normal limits and you're feeling confident and you're like, okay, look, baby, this is a normal thing for the kid. You're monitoring it. You want to be calm and recognize your body, the baby is developing antibodies, their body's working properly. Let's just watch the temperature. If it's a couple of hours and then it goes back down, all right, cool. And look, I'm also not saying your kid gets a temperature and you want to call the pediatrician. Say, hey, look, our kid has a fever. What should I do? Most of the time, they're going to say, okay, monitor it. And all I'm saying is you don't want to kill a fever right away. Don't give it anything. Just be cool. Put your feet, ground yourself. Breathe. You know that a fever is actually a normal response. There's nothing wrong with your kid. Your kid is healthy, right? Your kid is not sick. That's the reversal of the philosophy here. As soon as they spike a fever, they're sick, something's wrong with them. No. Your kid is healthy. Your kid is normal. Okay, that's a normal reaction for your kid's immune system that is turning on and functioning. All right. So you want to monitor it. You recognize they have a fever, monitor it. And the bigger thing here is for you to recognize it's normal and healthy. There's nothing wrong with your kid. It's healthy. If they were, exposed to the environment and they didn't spike a fever and their immune system wasn't working, and that's a problem. You see what I'm saying? And yet so many folks don't look at it that way, right? They automatically think something's wrong. And for you to be more chill, grounded, everything's cool. They're working properly. Monitor it, and then look, it's going a little bit longer than you'd like, and hey, it's going longer than I like, and they'll give you specific directions. If they need to give something to your baby, you need to give something or whatever. However, the bigger point here is they spike a little fever, you want to monitor it, they're healthy. Also, the same concept here, vomiting and diarrhea, all right? Your kid gets a little vomiting, spits up. Look, they spit up when they're eating milk sometimes, okay? And this is even going into when they're a little kid and a toddler and, growing up, not just the infant stage, right? So let's say they puke a little bit. Again, a lot of folks, they're right away, something's wrong. No. Okay, and diarrhea too. Something's wrong. No. That's a normal response for a healthy person. Okay, they ingest something, right? They eat something that doesn't agree with them. Blah! Puking it up is great, especially as they're getting older, right? And they're eating, you're eating more real food, not just breast milk and formula and all that. They're eating food and they'll puke or they have diarrhea. That means their body's working properly and we're thrilled. The kids have diarrhea, okay, they're puking. I'm like, great, because they're getting out whatever their body didn't like, right? So I'm thinking they're healthy, they're healthy, they're healthy. So yeah, it is a normal, healthy response of a healthy person, okay? And we want to be conscious of dehydration, especially with babies. That's the main concern. So yes, even with the baby, if they puke up or they have some diarrhea, you're thinking, okay, something not agreeing with them, honey. Let's just monitor this and make sure that they're drinking and getting enough fluids. And yeah, you want to call the pediatrician, call the pediatrician. This is more for you to have just kind of this understanding that these are normal, healthy functions of a normal functioning person. Even especially as we're getting older and they're starting to develop, your kid eats something and it doesn't agree with them and they don't puke or if they don't have diarrhea, that's more of an issue than if they do. All right. So again, just kind of some perspective to help you more chill and recognize some things that a lot of parents think are not healthy are actually healthy and normal.